Hello, I'm Tim Smith with the Adams County Historical Society. And if you like the content we put up on our YouTube page or our Facebook posts, please hit the subscribe button or the like button to see more of our content. So another one of the artillery shells that still can be seen in a building in the town is at the intersection of South Washington Street and West High Street. At the time of the Civil War, we're very close to the western edge of the town of Gettysburg. And there was heavy fighting around this intersection. There's a great account by Catherine Foster, who lived in a red brick house on the northwest corner of this intersection. She actually describes being on the back porch of the house and watching up at Seminary Ridge the heavy fighting and watching the men as they retreated into the town. She actually talks about artillery shells exploding around the house and then the family taking refuge in the cellar. She actually talks about one of General Reynolds' staff officers riding along and warning the people who live near the edge of the town to remove themselves from the town or take refuge in their cellars. Also, we have accounts about the Powers girls. Solomon Powers lived in the White House here with the black door across the street with his 6 daughters. And after the fighting was over on July 1st, they cared for wounded soldiers from the battle. Solomon Powers Stone Yard is where the red brick building now stands. And there was a serious fight on the evening of the first day of the battle as elements of the 150th Pennsylvania Infantry were overrun by the 14th North Carolina. And at some point during the battle, an artillery shell lodged into the wall of Rebecca Eyster's Gettysburg Female Institute. This building here was probably built around 1813. It had always been used as for educational purposes. It was the old academy building. It was the first home of the Lutheran Theological Seminary before they built a structure on the western side of town. And then afterwards, it was the first home of Pennsylvania College, later to become Gettysburg College, until they built a building north of the town. And at the time of the battle, Rebecca Eyster was the principal of the Gettysburg Female Institute. We do not have any account that describes the artillery shell that is now between the top middle windows of the building or how it came to be there. But clearly, from 1880s photographs that were taken of the building, it was sticking out of it at that time. And it is believed that this is one of the artillery shells in the town that is still sticking out of the building at the spot where it hit the building. And we have been in the building, and in the inside wall, you can actually see where the walls bowed out, where the artillery shell, came into the wall and, bounced the wall back a little bit. We actually do have an account by Tilly Pierce, who went to school here, that it was used as a hospital after the fighting. We know that one of Moses McLean's daughters went to school here. We have a number of accounts of the building. Kendall Hart's daughter, David Kendall Hart's daughter, we know went to school at this building. So theoretically, of all the artillery shells we see, this one could be the one that is still embedded in the building as it arrived on July 1st, 1860 feet. Theoretically, this is a Confederate artillery shell that came from the area near Oak Hill, near the Eternal Light Peace Memorial on July 1st. Another one of the artillery shells in the town is in the Tyson Brothers photographic studio. At the time of the Civil War, the building across the street from us was was a rental property built by David Wills in 1860. It actually was completed in 1861, and it held a variety of stores and businesses. And there's lots of advertisements in the Gettysburg newspaper over the years for businesses that were in this building. On the second floor of the building was the Tyson Brothers photographic studio. And they actually had the second floor laid out so that they would have lots of light for their photographic process. Um, During the battle, Charles Tyson lived on York Street, and he and his wife fled during the fighting. And they came back to town afterwards, and there's a letter where he describes returning to the photographic studio and seeing the artillery shell sticking out of the second floor of the building. You can actually see it if you look above the Lulu's Finest Ice Cream sign in the sea, right above the sea and ice. You can see the artillery shell, which is a Hotchkiss shell, sticking out below the window. And we have an excellent letter written by Charles Tyson in 1884. And he says in this letter, the shell has never been removed. It is still there, just as it was, ready to blow up somebody, perhaps. A mini ball passed through the back window, passing through both panes of glass and entering the wall. And I used to know someone who lived upstairs in an apartment, and the bullet is still embedded in the wall. And that's something we talked about earlier. Down on York Street, the Kadori house, there is a bullet hole in the mantle on the second floor. So that's quite common. But the artillery shell is still in the building today. If you like the content that we provide on the Adams County Historical Society page, please subscribe and become a member, and you'll have more access to our videos. Now, one thing that I find very interesting, I have really good memories of, for many years, that was the Cannonball Malt Shop. And I used to do walking tours of the town through the Gettysburg Elder Hostel, and I would point out the artillery shell to all my people, and I would have them all go to the ice cream shop at different points in a week while they were here, and they would go in to the owner and say, you know, that's not a cannonball. It's an artillery shell, which is absolutely, totally a different kind of thing. And the people got a huge kick out of my, students going in there and telling them that.